119. I'd love to preach on that someday. That's a long chapter. And then, while I'm on the subject of length and the number of words, I should probably talk about some of the popular contemporary songs that we often call them praise songs. That doesn't mean that I believe that all praise songs are bad. I think there's an appropriate time for simple praise songs. There's some very simple songs we teach the children that have very simple words, and that's wonderful. But the theology is not what it used to be in some of the old songs. You've probably heard the expression 7-Eleven songs. That's because they sing the same 7 words 11 times, just over and over. And I get kind of irritated. I like lyrics, and so I like words that mean something. And so when people and so many of them just sound like love songs, and it's just a lot of it just over and over. Oh, Jesus, you're so wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Oh, Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. And I don't mean to be sacrilegious, but it's like, teach me something. Lift me through the words. Because the reason for this music is there's theology in it. And when David would play on his harp, I can't help but wonder if he wouldn't also sing some truths of God. Where do you think David got his ideas for his songs? David, he comes from the pasture to the palace, and he is a magnificent musician. And he's composed a lot of songs already, I think. He was out there surrounded by the things that God made. And he would see the mountains, and he would see the majestic sunsets, and he'd see the stars at night. You've read the Psalms where it talks about, when I consider the heavens and the things that your hands have made. What is man that you are mindful of him? Or the Son of Man that you visit him? As the sun goes forth in its strength, he talks about the sunrise. As the dew upon the grass, he talks about the grass. You look at the psalm, read the 23rd Psalm. You lead me beside the still waters. So many of David's psalms were obviously influenced by the things that God made. And so the purpose of the music was to glorify God. But music it's not a neutral medium. J.S. Bach said, all music should have no other end and aim than to the glory of God and for the soul's refreshment. Were this not remembered, there's no real music, only a devilish hubbub. That's what Bach said. Something else you may or may not know. Every composition by Bach began with a JJ at the top left. And that meant it was Jesus Huvia, which meant Jesus help me. And he translated the Bible. He wrote a hymn book. They had new songs to sing because you realize at the time of Luther, all the monasteries, they all would come into the church and they'd chant in Latin. And it was almost hypnotic. And again, I got to illustrate because we're thinking about audio things, so I'm not trying to be funny, but you ever heard some of these monastic chants? And some of them very pleasant. It doesn't matter. You get all these men's voices together, but often it sounds like. And when I came into the church, I'd kind of come out of Eastern mysticism, went through all these Eastern religions, and they'd all get together and they'd do all these mystical chants. And you'd kind of make these off tones. It's almost like spa music that's supposed to put you in a hypnotic trance. And then all of a sudden, the people couldn't sing. They didn't know Latin. Luther gives them a book and the songs. And that's why Luther, he would take some of the great music. You know that song? A mighty fortress. That was a melody the people sang sometimes even in the bars. It was a great melody. And Luther said, nothing wrong with the melody. The words are terrible. I'm going to put new words to that great melody. And all of a sudden they were singing songs like that, and it just, everybody was singing the songs. Who was it that said, here we go. Confucius, of all the people I might quote. If one should desire to know whether a kingdom is well governed or if its morals are good or bad, the quality of its music will give you the answer. What does that bode for us as a nation? Andrew Fletcher said, I knew a very wise man